Good afternoon or evening, everybody, and happy early St. Patrick's Day. My name is Will Reece with AFC Vacations, and I'm joined today by longstanding tour manager Chris McCool. It's been a great year of travel so far, and we're engaged in making it even better. And we have trips going out on a regular basis and are very excited about what's coming up. We have a lot of great trips to discuss today, as both Chris and I will go over some favorites. Also, tune in for April VTS, and we will be releasing our first trip for 2024. So pay attention, as that email will come out pretty soon. So as we move forward, what we cover we'll just go over pretty quick. Imagine yourself eating a slice of pizza in Italy, sipping a glass of wine in France, or having a lobster dinner in Maine. We bring all these different experiences to life with our outstanding variety of tours and cruises. And our trips cover nearly 90% of the globe. Our most popular tours are to Europe, either by motor coach or river cruise, the national parks, and areas like Cape Cod and America's gorgeous coastlines. But our one hotel stays are some of the most comfortable tours and allow you to unpack once and settle into your hotel for your entire trip. Now, we also offer inclusive and honest pricing, no gimmicks or tricks, and our prices include round-trip air, home pickup, or a credit if you wish to make your own arrangements to the airport. And our tour managers, like Chris, are outstanding ambassadors of the world, and they work really hard to make sure you have an excellent experience. They know the destinations like the back of their hand and will guide you on a journey through some of the world's top sites. The hotels, activities, and dining that we provide on tour give you a great taste of local life. And the hotels we use are well located and comfortable. And the included sightseeing as well make for a memorable trip with guided commentary along the way. And we have many guarantees at AFC, but guaranteed pricing is one of the best. Now, once your deposit is paid for on your tour, your price is locked in. And that incorporates even as fuel prices change or fees are incorporated, those don't get passed on to you. So if you also see a GD symbol in the brochure on our website or on the show, that means that tour is a guaranteed departure, and we have enough passengers to run that trip at that time. As we move through the year, you'll see more of these programs going to guaranteed status. Now, what we're really about is real people and real service, and we have an excellent team in our staff back at the office that handle all your questions, concerns, and any assistance throughout the trip. And they combine for over 130 years of travel experience together. But at AFC, we also offer low-cost travel insurance with a cancel for any reason benefit. This provides security as you move closer to your tour. For over 25 years, we've been making travel easier by providing round-trip airport pickup service. And we pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, and then bring you home after the tour as well. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of getting to and from the airport. And we're also offering new for 2023, a $100 credit if you make your own arrangements to and from the airport. A lot of folks are using Uber and Lyft these days. This means if you choose not to take the home pickup credit, your final payment will be reduced by $100 per person. Now, as we do these shows, we like to provide some specials throughout the year. And if you book a new 2023 tour or river cruise by Friday, March 24th, we have a reduced deposit for you, and that brings your rate down to $250 to place your spot on a tour. We're also offering $20 off your travel protection if you pay for your tour with deposit. And for a limited time, we're doing a early booking savings, which is extended to more travelers. So if you're the first 10 to book on a tour, you automatically save $100 off that trip. If you're the 11th through 20th person on that tour, you save $75 automatically. Then we're offering our one cabin category upgrade on our October 25th Burgundy Provence River Cruise. So I'll talk about that in just a bit. But to get these savings, you use the code 23TRIPS. And I'll say that again later on in the show. So we have so many trips going out the door left and right. And just in the next 3 months, you can see this great list of trips all over the world. And we're really excited to see all these folks getting out there and traveling, and it's really exciting to be back out and exploring. So the first trip I'll talk about is Seattle to San Francisco. It's a beautiful journey that highlights some of the best on the West Coast. the 3 main cities on the northern stretch, along with the national and state parks that we include. And we stay 2 nights in Seattle, 1 night in Portland, and 2 nights in San Francisco, as well as stops in between. This tour hits some of the great sites like the Space Needle, Mount St. Helens, Redwoods National Park, and some California wine tasting to go with it. But we have 1 date for the year. That's August 13th, so join us for this outstanding coastal voyage. Then we start our California rail discovery in San Francisco, the city by the bay. You'll enjoy 2 nights in the international city of San Francisco with a bay cruise incorporated. Then we head to Muir Woods to learn more about the coastal redwoods and make your way to Napa Valley. And this is the heart of California wine country. So you'll enjoy a tour and tasting of some of California's best wines. And we stay 1 night in the state capital of Sacramento and get to see one of the great railroad museums in the country. Then we take a train the following day to cross over the Sierra Nevada mountains and make our way for 3 nights in South Lake Tahoe on this trip. We also spend time in Nevada, and that's where we venture out to Reno and Virginia City to learn about the Comstock Lode, which was a huge silver rush in the late 1850s. But great departure, heading out both in June and in August. Our Great Trains and Grand Canyons tour, as I always tell folks, is our most popular West Coast trip. Very easy to get to, flying into Phoenix and then staying 5 nights in Sedona at 1 hotel to allow you to unpack once. And this is a great program because it also incorporates so many wonderful sites. Obviously, the Grand Canyon is one of those, and we take the Grand Canyon Railway from Williams. We also do a second trip on the train, and that is the Verde Canyon Railroad. Beautiful stretch with some very lush areas of Arizona. And then we head down to Montezuma's Castle, and this is an incredible site in the bottom left corner there. This was home to the Sinagua people, and over 50 people lived in that dwelling. So a really wonderful trip that incorporates quite a lot of sightseeing, and that takes off everywhere from April on through November. You can see all the different dates up top and the ones that are guaranteed already. So we anticipate some of the later ones coming to guaranteed status as we move through the year. Black Hills and Badlands is an incredible trip, one of my favorites to lead. This is a program that stays 5 nights in Rapid City, 6 nights. And from there, we work our way out to the Badlands. And this is an incredible place to be. Amazing geology. This was originally an exotic rainforest. And through time, you can see the different landscapes, the different layers of deposits and the colors around the land. And so our tour managers do a great job explaining the different layers of geology there. We also get to see the mammoth site. So there were woolly mammoths that were roaming this part of the world. And then over to the Black Hills. And on the western side of Rapid City, you have both Mount Rushmore as well as Crazy Horse Memorial. And we get to see Mount Rushmore in 2 different ways. We see it during the middle of the day, and then we come back in the evening for the illumination ceremony. And that's when a park ranger gets up, tells you all about the area and the carving itself. But one of my favorites on this trip is our trip out to Custer State Park. And this is where we do the Buffalo Jeep Safari, taking you out into the plains where they have over 1,000 head of buffalo. But really wonderful program, June 7th and July 12th that we do. Now getting in my backyard, Seattle and Tacoma. So this trip flies you into Seattle for 2 nights in Tacoma to start out. And Tacoma was actually going to be a bigger city than Seattle. The gold rush kind of changed all that in the late 1800s and brought a huge boom into the city of Seattle. From Tacoma, we make our way out to the Northwest Trek Wildlife Park. And this has a very amount of wildlife. So all sorts of Northwest species, as well as buffalo, lions, and so much more. So really great trip that we get to do. We have 2 departures this year, both in the summer because that's the best time to be in Washington State. So we do July 14th and August 18th. And as I'll talk about a couple of international programs we're doing, this is an amazing trip to the center of the Renaissance into Florence. And we stay 7 nights in the Chianti wine region of Tuscany, so just to the south of the city. And each trip that we make out on a daily basis is only about 45 minutes to an hour away approximately. So we head out to the towns of San Gimignano and Siena. San Gimignano with its medieval towers, and Siena with its amazing sloped city center and the famous Il Palio horse race. Then we also go out to Montalcino, and this is home of Brunello wines. So a little bit thicker skinned grape and a little bit of an interesting tradition there that some vineyards actually play music for the vines as they grow. And we also hit Lake Trasimeno. This was the site of one of Hannibal's big battles, as well a small fishing island that we take you out to by boat. And we get to enjoy an amazing lunch out on the water, just looking out over the entire lake. It's a gorgeous setting. Then we include a cooking class on this tour. We take you to a family-run cooking class as well as winery. So they're pouring as much wine as you can drink, and it's a really great time to explore there. And then we also do a pecorino cheese tasting, and that is sheep's cheese. So a really great blend that comes from that area. And a lunch at a saffron-producing farmhouse. So they do saffron incorporated with gnocchi pasta. So this program takes off October 24th and November 7th. Then we have our last remaining river cruise for the year, and that is October 25th of 2023 that still has some space available. We actually still have some early booking savings, cash early booking savings available. So about just a handful left at the 200 level where you can save $200 off your trip, and then several at the $100 level. So please don't wait. If you want to save on this program, this is a great time to book, and it is a guaranteed departure. We are ready to go. This trip features 7 nights aboard the Amadeus Provence, which is a beautiful ship built in 2017. And we work our way along the Rhone River in France. It's an unbelievable experience that we take you on this one. It's one of the most memorable cruises of any rivers I've done, and it features a great program incorporating Lyon, which is a beautiful city with both a fantastic old center as well as an amazing cathedral. And then we fly you in and out of Lyon, so very easy transportation there, getting straight over to the ship. We'll work north on the river to start out with to a town called Mâcon, and this is the heart of Burgundy, the wine region in France. So we do some wine-incorporated experiences, a tasting as well, and then a city tour in Mâcon that's included. Then we head north of that into the town of Beaune, and Beaune is a medieval walled city, an absolute delight, and our city tour takes you around the Hôtel Dieu, and this was built in 1443 as a hospital to the poor. We see some of the nearby vineyards as we're driving through that area as well, and then we also enjoy a wine tasting experience in that stretch. Our city tour of Lyon takes us both to the cathedral as well as to the old town. The Roman Cathedral Church up on the hill overlooking the town, constructed in 1100. And the old town is a blend of all sorts of great cultures, whether it's Italian, Swiss, French. It really is an amazing spot to visit. So we also make our way south on the Rhone, and we head down to the town of Avignon. This was the city of popes for the 1300s. So for over 70 years, the popes lived in Avignon in the Papal Palace, and we actually tour that facility down in Avignon. We include the Bridge of Avignon as well, and we take you on a guided walking tour right off the dock from the ship into the city. The following day, we head to Arles, and this is a gem on the river. Very quaint southern French town with a Roman amphitheater that rivals the Colosseum. And it's an outstanding sight. We go inside to see it all. On the final day, you can choose between relaxing on board and enjoying river cruising, or take an optional tour to the Ardèche Gorge. And this is one of the most majestic views in all the world. You can choose to extend your journey even beyond that for 2 nights as an optional up to Paris, the City of Lights. And we do a city tour of both Dijon as well as in the city center of Paris to see the sites like Notre Dame, which they're anticipating being open by the end of this year or early next year, the Louvre, and the Eiffel Tower. And we make stops along the way. We also include a cruise on the Seine, so a small portion of the Seine where you can see these amazing architectural features all throughout the city. Then you'll have an afternoon as well, which is free in Paris, to enjoy a museum or walk along the Champs-Élysées. But this one takes off October 25th, here's just a glimpse at the extension to Paris with a city tour in both Dijon and Paris and that Seine River cruise. So Deb Howard will be leading this program, and she does a great job on our rivers. Chris, I'll go ahead and hand it off here.
Okay, thanks so much, Will. And let me echo the fact that that River on the Rhone and the Saône rivers is probably one of my favorites of all the river cruising I've done. Clearly, the Rhine and the Danube is where people began, but this is a fantastic experience and one of my favorites that I have led. Mexican Riviera is my privilege to lead, and that will be in December, a great time to be headed off to the warmer climate. And we're actually going to head out of San Diego after spending some time there. We'll spend the night, see some of the sights of San Diego, and it's an 11-night Mexican Riviera cruise. And what a great experience this is we're on Holland America. They have larger ship cabins than most of the cruise ships. One of the reasons we like them as well because you don't change time zones going from your state cabin to the dining area. Not a large vessel. It is larger than some of the Holland American, but not as much. Manzanillo, Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, Loreto, La Paz, Cabo San Lucas. Every one of these are absolutely gorgeous Mexican coastal towns. And Manzanillo has two crescent-shaped bays with some of the most beautiful sand you have ever seen. Everywhere you go, there will be not only cultural opportunities with the shipboard tours that from which you may choose, but also fabulous meals, great shopping, and of course, opportunities to not only be on the beach, but some of the best deep sea fishing, if that is your interest as well. So I hope you'll give consideration to this trip. 34 meals, you can hardly afford to stay home for the cost of it. And I will have to say the Gulf of California, the Sea of Cortez, is truly one of the beautiful places in the world. Let's talk about mystery tours. Many of you have been on mystery tours, but might I say that if you have not, psychologists say that risk-taking is critical to staying young in life, and those of us who are willing to take a small risk and let the child inside of us come out and play live a much longer life. And what's the risk? Oh, perhaps you're going somewhere you've never heard of, or you're going somewhere you don't know. Well, you can mitigate this risk simply by calling our office and letting the personnel there know that, say, you're from the Midwest. You have no desire to go to Oklahoma, Nebraska, or Iowa. Or you could say, these are the 9 states I have never traveled to. If you have a mystery tour going there, please let me know. Here is how it works. A mystery tour is designed where we will tell you what the weather will be, what kind of clothing to bring, and what time to be at the airport check-in, and what flight you will be on. Not the flight, but the airline. It is a mystery all the way across the board. Now, when we do get you to the destination, we don't tell you what's coming up next, but chances are the destination will be somewhere you have probably never been. And it also will be going to places that are not on anybody's radar screen. In fact, you won't find these mystery tour destinations in hardly anybody's tour catalog because they're unusual and unique. Why do we keep doing them? Because they are popular. They are a lot of fun. And once you become a part of the mystery tour family, you will be coming back for more because you want to see these same fun people again. You can see the opportunities May, June, July, August, October, November, and December. And you can see those of us that will be leading the tours. We know them well. We love them. And if you join us for this, you will be giving yourself a treat. Not a lot of pre-planning, not a huge expense, but a grand opportunity to have something fun to look forward to in the near future. The Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park, in my estimation, the Canadian Rockies must be one of the most beautiful places in North America. And of course, there are many, many beautiful places in North America. The picture you're looking at, the Valley of the Ten Peaks, Lake Moraine, just an absolute showpiece. I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world I have ever been. This tour is interesting because we do fly into Calgary, and we're just one night in Calgary on the front end. And then we do that to make sure everyone gets there. And then we're going to head south, and we're going to go to a place called Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. Well, what an interesting name that is. But it was a Native American, or in this case, a First Nations tradition to herd up a certain number of bison, not the whole herd, but just a certain number, and to guide them over the cliff. And then they harvested every part of that bison for the Native Americans or the First Nations people to live for that next year. It is probably one of the best museums. It is Smithsonian quality, built into the side of the cliff. You will enjoy that site. Then we go to Chief Mountain Crossing, going across the Canadian border into the U.S., and we're going to go to Fabulous Glacier National Park, a World Heritage Site. We're going to see the Mini Glacier Lodge, and also we will take you as well to St. Mary's Lake, and you will see the sites of this amazing park that was carved by glaciers. Does it have a lot of glaciers now? Oh, a few, but not many. But it was carved by glaciers, thus the name. Then we're going to head back north, going to Waterton Lakes. I'm sorry. We're going to go to Whitefish, Montana. We're going to go to Whitefish, Montana next. And we're going to spend one night there in Whitefish, in the Kalispell Whitefish area. The railroad came through there. There is a lot of interesting portions of the town and the shopping, and we'll be spending time there. On the way over from Glacier toward Whitefish, we're going to take the Going to the Sun Road. Did you know that that is the only time I have ever seen a full-size mountain lion, broad daylight in the wild, is on that trip? And I've led it many times, and it is a spectacular sight, taking the red open-air jammer cars over the Going to the Sun Road. From there, we're going to head up to Kootenai National Park. It's a beautiful national park. The Columbia River gets its rise in that area at Canal Flats, and there is Radium Hot Springs in that area. Beautiful area of Canada. And then from Kootenai, we make our way to Lake Louise, Yoho National Park, and we're also going to take you to the Icefields Parkway, where we'll take you out on the Athabasca Glacier Ice Explorer. That's the big traveling vehicle with gigantic tires to take us out onto the ice field. This tour has everything you would want in terms of beauty, and you are not traveling hours and hours and hours every day to see this. Some of the best of the mountains. You are in the mountains virtually the entire trip. And if you do this trip with Premier World Discovery, and notice you have a guaranteed departure in June and July, and then August is totally sold out, you are in for a treat. The Idaho Adventure is a tour I enjoy every time I lead it, and we fly you into Spokane, Washington. Once we get you into Spokane, we'll show you a little bit about Spokane, but we're mainly headed to the picture on the upper left, and that is the Coeur d'Alene Resort. It is a 5-star resort. You will not only enjoy your time there, the meals are excellent, the downtown shopping is a lot of fun, but we're going to take you to Wallace, Idaho as well for the day. And on the way back, we're going to stop at the Ryder Ranch, where our good friends, John and Linda Ryder, are going to show us their beautiful ranch in the mountains, as well as take us on a little hayride and then feed us a wonderful home-cooked meal where the steaks are covering the plate. You tell them how you want it done, and they have the best cobbler you have ever put in your mouth. So we'll be doing that. So 2 nights at Coeur d'Alene Resort. Then we make our way south, and we are headed down toward Riggins. We'll be going through Moscow, Idaho to Riggins. And before we get there, we're going to stop where the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River come together before they join the Columbia River. We're going to a Lewis and Clark Museum while we are there. Very, very interesting. And then to Riggins, where we are not in a 5-star hotel, but folks, this is a lovely hotel overlooking the confluence of the Big Salmon and the Little Salmon River. At the right time of year, you can see hundreds of fishermen down there fishing for the salmon. But why are we there? Because that is the entrance to Hell's Canyon. In the upper right picture, you can see us on the boat on the Snake River, and this jet boat will take us up the river through class 3 and 4 rapids. We're going to have a picnic lunch at a wonderful historic ranch there, and then we're going to take this very interesting road coming out of Hell's Canyon back over into the Salmon River Valley, back to Riggins that night. The tour takes us down to McCall and the beautiful lake that is located there. We follow the river coming going to the east, and there are some class 4 and 5 rapids on that river. We'll stop and take a look at some of that. But ultimately, we're going to go over the beautiful mountains of Idaho. The Sawtooth Mountains, as you see at the bottom left, are just gorgeous. They are snow covered just about year round. And we're going to be at another 5-star resort, the Sun Valley Resort. There you'll have an opportunity to explore the resort, see pictures of the people who are well known and have visited the resort. There's hallways and hallways of them, lots of them, of people over the years, because this is one of the first resorts of America. And then we're going to take you into Ketchum of Ernest Hemingway fame. So we'll have a farewell dinner there, ultimately return to Boise and make our way back home. Idaho Adventure, and that is September 13th. Seattle, San Juan Islands, and Alaska cruise. Well, there again, Holland America is such a great experience. And we're going to take you into Seattle, a couple of nights there, where we're going to have a Seattle tour. We'll see the Space Needle and some other sites in and around Seattle, including a San Juan Islands whale watching cruise. I can't promise you're going to see something like you see in that bottom right, but I have actually seen that very scene very near Seattle in Tanauan, a very beautiful area of the Pacific, and it's a possibility you could see that. We're ultimately going to board our MS Westerdam. There again, a small ship, but larger rooms than usual. And here's what I like about this tour, because it takes you all the way up to Juneau, the Hubbard Glacier, to Sitka, where we get to see the totem poles, the Stevens Passage, to Ketchikan. And I will actually be leading this trip. And with me on board, you really don't have to buy shore excursions, because I can tell you how to buy any event you want on shore where you don't pay the higher prices. Now, you still may want to get a particular shore excursion from the ship, but I can sure point you in the right direction, because I've led this so many times, and it is a beautiful experience on very smooth water on the Inside Passage. Southwest National Parks Premier is doing this the right way, folks. They're not trying to see all of the Canyonlands in one fell swoop. I like it because we spend a couple of nights in Las Vegas, where we are in a lovely hotel, where we get to go to Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam Museum is one of the best I've ever seen, explaining the Colorado River watershed. It's just a huge room that talks all about it, and to see the dam itself and the Pat Tillman Bridge crossing of the canyon. That's amazing in and of itself. So after a couple of nights there, then we're going to make our way to Grand Canyon West. It's a place a lot of you haven't been, and it's the place where the Native Americans have built the circular skywalk. You see it in the upper left picture, and you can go out and look straight down 4,000 feet into the canyon. Some people can't even walk out on it, but if you do, it is quite a thrill. The floor is glass, by the way. That's sort of a surreal feeling for sure. We're going to make our way to Mesquite, Nevada, right on the Utah-Arizona border. That's actually the Nevada-Arizona border. Utah is only 12 miles away, and that's going to be our home. If you like to gamble, well, you got it made, because it's full of gambling locations at Mesquite, and they're very nice. But we're going to make our way to two wonderful sites: Zion National Park in Utah. It's a place I lived for 10 years, love it so much I decided to move there. And so we're going to see Zion in all of its glory. And then we're going to take you on another day to Bryce Canyon National Park, where totally different geology than Zion. And you see that at the bottom left. And we're going to see hoodoos and the arches and the spires of Bryce Canyon. But it all has that beautiful red iron oxide flavor that helps create this sandstone, these sand dunes into sandstone that we see. So check out Southwest National Parks. A couple of departures, both of them guaranteed. And then the November one probably will get there as well. Hope you'll join us. Colorado Rails and National Parks. Well, you come into Denver, and you got to spend the night there just so we don't leave anybody behind. And there's a lot to do in the Denver area, and we will spend some time doing some things there. We're going to take Interstate 70, and we're going to make our way west. We'll go to Vail, stop in Georgetown probably for a rest break, make our way through the Glen Canyon, the Glenwood Springs area, which is some of the most interesting interstate that's ever been built between a rock wall and the roaring Colorado River. It is quite a sight. Grand Junction is our home at the Doubletree for a couple of nights. The Grand Junction is a town that is amazing in its own right, because looming over the top of Grand Junction is the beautiful Colorado Monument. And we will have an opportunity to see that looming over the top of us. And one full day, we're going to see Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park, only a few miles apart and very different geology. Arches is all about the big salt dome, and Canyonlands is all about the sandstone that blew in from the east and is sort of the beginning of the Grand Canyon. But to get there, we're going to take you on Scenic Highway 128, down following the Colorado River, with Arches National Park looming over the top nearly 2,000 feet above us. The trip continues after we leave Grand Junction, and we make our way up Highway 550, a very interesting road to say the least. I can say this: if you don't like heights, don't ride on the right side of the bus. But it is a beautiful, beautiful scene as we make our way up into the highlands of the Needles Mountains, and we're going to go to Silverton, the mining camp. There you'll have a little time to look around, have some lunch. Then we board the Silverton train. Premier's doing it right. It is way too much train to go round trip. So Premier has us going from Silverton down to Durango. You'll get to see the sights. You see the picture in the top left. And we will have beautiful scenes of the Animas River as we make our way down to Durango. And we spend a couple of nights there at a lovely hotel in Durango, very close to the downtown area. One of the days, we're going to take you out to Mesa Verde National Park, where you'll learn about the Anasazi and ancestral Puebloans. And we will show you the most important sites there. A couple of nights in Durango, and then we take Highway 160 through Pagosa Springs over to Great Sand Dunes. Did you know the Great Sand Dunes are over 4,000 feet high? And I mean, over 700 feet high. The sand dunes in Zion National Park 2 million years ago were 4,000 feet high. But the Sahara Desert and the Gobi Desert only have sand dunes that are 300 feet high. So these are some of the largest in the world. And you'll really enjoy seeing this. We'll be there for a portion of our afternoon before we go up to Colorado Springs, where we spend 3 nights in a wonderful downtown hotel of historic value, I might add, as well. In Colorado Springs, there is so much for us to see, including the Air Force Academy, of course, the Garden of the Gods, the brand new U.S. Olympic Center. There's a wonderful chuck wagon supper and Western show as well. So much to see in the Colorado Springs area. And then ultimately, we make our way about an hour and a half up to Denver, and we fly home. So check out the dates that we have there, June and August. Brad Wetzel's leading this, and he's a great tour guide. I think you'll enjoy him. Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore. Well, I don't think there's anyone that works for Premier that doesn't know this tour like the back of their hand. It is so popular. We offer a lot of these. Deb Howard happens to be leading this one, and you're not going to get any better than Deb to be able to lead this particular tour. 2 nights in Rapid City. That's where we began, and we stay at a beautiful Holiday Inn right on Rapid Creek. We're going to go to Mount Rushmore. We're going to see Crazy Horse. We'll see Mount Rushmore not only by day, but by night for the very moving night lighting ceremony. There is also the Black Hills, and we will take you into the Black Hills. That's where Mount Rushmore is located. Spearfish Canyon is there as we make our way up to Devil's Tower and Deadwood first. Deadwood is a beautiful city of historic fame. Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane, Boot Hill Cemetery. You'll learn a lot. There's a lot of gambling to be done in Deadwood as well. But then we'll make our way to Devil's Tower. This beautiful tower that you see at the bottom right, interestingly enough, was a volcanic cone, but it never appeared above the surface of the Earth. In fact, the Earth was nearly a mile on top of this, and geologically over time, the Earth itself eroded, leaving the submerged tower exposed, and it is all made of geodes, 8-sided rocks. Very interesting to see. And there's a trail you can get very close and walk a portion of the way around it. We're going to head to Sheraton for one night simply because going over the mountains takes a little bit of time, and Sheraton is a good stopping point for the night. But then into Cody, where we have the Buffalo Bill Museum and the famous sculptures that are there, as well as the paintings, the Remingtons. Very interesting. And even the 3 hours we give you will not be enough time for you. 2 nights in the granddaddy of all the national parks, Yellowstone National Park. And believe me, Deb and all the other guides know all the very best spots. Some places a lot of people don't know to take you. It's not just about Old Faithful. There's Grand Prismatic Springs and Gibbon Falls and the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. So much to see in those 2 nights. And we actually stay in East Yellowstone, or West Yellowstone, I mean. And I like that a lot. And here's why I like it. Because you have a real hotel with walls that are not thin, and you actually have internet and television. And a lot of people like that at night. Plus, the wildlife getting to West Yellowstone is always interesting. Continuing down out of the Yellowstone National Park, crossing the Continental Divide about 3 times, we go to Jackson, Wyoming. Jackson Hole means the valley of the Grand Tetons National Park. And we'll have an opportunity to see that. Jenny Lake, Jackson Lake. We'll take you to the Moose Center visitors area, and you'll have an opportunity to maybe even see the gunfight in Jackson that night. Then we continue over Bear Lake, over to Salt Lake City. We will see some of the sights of Salt Lake, 1 night there, and then you fly home. Check it out, folks. It is a wonderful trip, and June 15th is the date. Utah's mighty national parks. You see, we love the western states a lot, and we particularly love the Canyonlands. Look at the fabulous picture of the arch, of Mesa Arch, looking down into the Canyonlands with the La Salle Mountains off in the distance. Those La Salle Mountains overlook Arches National Park, way off in the distance. Well, what we're going to do is fly you into Grand Junction. 1 night there saves all that driving, 5-6 hours of driving to get there from any other destination. And then from Grand Junction, it's only a couple of hours into Moab, where we spend 5 fabulous nights. Now, Colorado Monument is a part of this. I told you it overlooked the city, and we will see that at Grand Junction. We'll go up into Colorado Monument. I personally think it should be a national park. It is so interesting. But once we are in Moab, 5 nights there, Arches National Park. That includes Delicate Arch. It includes the Balanced Rock. It includes Double Arch. It includes the Broadway, Park Avenue. Interesting places on this giant salt dome. We will as well take you to Canyonlands, where we'll have 3 or 4 sites. And look at the bottom right picture. That is Dead Horse Point State Park. It's really part of the Canyonlands, but it is a Utah state park. And that is the Colorado River you see making its way for the ultimate confluence with the Green River some distance away. This trip also takes us on a wonderful trip down through Blanding to Monument Valley. And you see one of the mittens of Monument Valley. And we'll take a trip up into Monument Valley with some Native American guides. So wonderful trip. It's a guaranteed departure for 3 of the 4 trips, and we hope you'll join us. The Balloon Fiesta is something everyone should see once in their life, I say. Most photographed event in the world. 750 balloons ascending at the Mass Ascension, and we will be there for that. We will also take you for the night glow. Notice we stay in Albuquerque a couple of nights for those events, but then we're going to go up to Los Alamos, and we're going to see the Bradbury Science Museum. A lot of the most brilliant people in the world work in Los Alamos, and we're going to check that out. Then we come down out of the highlands over to Santa Fe. Santa Fe is about 6,500 feet above sea level, and 3 nights in Santa Fe. Wonderful shopping in Santa Fe. We'll take you on the high road to Taos, and we'll see the Taos Pueblo. You see that in the bottom right-hand picture. The Indian Pueblo Cultural Center is in Albuquerque. We will see that. The Chimayo El Sanctuario is a beautiful, beautiful church where they have the holy dirt. And you will learn all about the holy dirt and might even want to take some home with you while you're there. So a wonderful 5-night, 6-day tour at the New Mexico Balloon Fiesta. Great Lakes Adventure. I was so happy to see Premier put this together. It's a tour I've enjoyed over the years because it is not just Mackinac Island and Frankenmuth. It encompasses the Great Loop, including the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So we fly you into Chicago, and we do some interesting things in Chicago, such as the architectural tour on the Chicago River, which, by the way, they reversed the flow of that a number of years ago to prevent pollution in the Great Lakes. We as well are going to go to the Holland Tulip Festival. We're going to spend 2 nights in Grand Rapids, but we're also going to go down to Holland, where you'll see the Dutch Village, Veldheer Gardens, the wooden shoes, all the millions of tulips that they manage to plant every year. Then we continue north and we're going to make our way to the confluence of Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, and we're going to head out to Mackinac Island. Now, we are going to have lunch at the Grand Hotel, as you see in the upper right picture, but we are staying right in downtown Mackinac. I like it even better, personally, because you don't have to get dressed up at night. And secondly, because you are right there amongst all the 15 or 20 fudge factories that are there. But it is a really great location where we will be. We'll take the carriage tour. You can go up to the fort if you wish. It's a wonderful experience. Then across the Mighty Mac Bridge, we are in the Upper Peninsula, and we're going to go around some of the most beautiful, wild, scenic areas. There are bear, there are moose. All of that is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as we make our way down to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Well, you've heard of Green Bay, of course, and the Green Bay Packers. Well, we're going to tour Lambeau Field while we are there. But the full day that we will have, we're going to take you to famous Door County, Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. And that is some of the most beautiful cliffs and seaside towns. Even though they're not seaside, they are lakeside, and it looks like an ocean. We will see those as well. We're going to take you to the Wisconsin Dells, and we're going to take a cruise on the Wisconsin Dells with the unusual geology, seeing a lot of dairy farms along the way to get there. And then we make our way down to Milwaukee for one night. Sure, we know about the beer that is brewed there, but some of the small microbreweries have some really interesting tours, and they have the fabulous art museum with the giant wings that awaken every morning at 10 o'clock if the winds aren't too high. So this tour does the complete loop. We ultimately end up in Chicago for our return trip home. Now, the best of Chicago is one where it is a unpack once. I know you like that. I sure like it. The Palmer House Hilton, or one of the other fine hotels that is there, is part of our stay, part of the experience. You see the Millennial Bean. That is a very interesting piece that you can walk under in Millennial Park in the upper left picture. The Chicago Architectural Tour with docent guides on board, learning all about the Art Deco buildings there. Wrigley Field, the Mobster Tour is there, the Untouchables, they call it. We'll go up to the sky deck of the Willis Tower. I love going to Frank Lloyd Wright's home in Oak Park, and we not only will see the home in the studio, but your guide will walk you through the street that has 8 or 10 Frank Lloyd Wright houses just right next to his studio. The Art Institute is there, where they have the famous paintings. That of the American Gothic is there. Most of you have not heard of Cantigny Park, but is of McCormick fame. McCormick's owned the Chicago Tribune, and he happened to be on the beaches of Normandy during World War II. And he has probably one of the best Normandy museums I have ever seen, as well as a beautiful house. So we will see that as well. Now, a real surprise is to go up to Racine, Wisconsin. There we will take you to Frank Lloyd Wright's creation of the S.C. Johnson Wax Headquarters and Wingspread Mansion, part of the Johnson Empire. This building, one of the buildings we will tour, is still in use, and the other building is a museum, and that's where just about every Johnson wax product you have ever used was developed and designed. So a wonderful tour, 5 nights in Chicago. And Pat Conway, my good friend, what a great guy he is. You'll love being with him September 15th. Join him. Niagara Falls and the Grand Hotel. Well, this is your big experience to stay at the Grand Hotel. Get your sequin dress out, ladies and gentlemen. Get your coat and tie. You won't get into dinner otherwise, but it is a great experience to be there. We're starting out in Detroit, and 2 nights in Dearborn, actually, very near Detroit. We're going to see the Henry Ford Museum. And this museum deals with all the events of the Industrial Revolution, everything from the steam engine to the car that John F. Kennedy was assassinated in. Greenfield Village is also there, and that's where a lot of the buildings of the Industrial Revolution have been brought to this area, such as the Wright Brothers Cycle Shop is there, or the Edison Labs. The Rouge River Truck Plant is there. Ladies, you think I wouldn't be interested in that? Well, if you go on this tour in May and October, I believe you're given a free truck. Now, I don't think that's right, but it would be fun, wouldn't it? It's really interesting to see these F-150s being built. We're going to head up to Mackinac Island for a couple of nights. We'll have the horse-drawn carriage tour. We'll have opportunities to explore, shop, and dine and eat. Oh, my goodness. The food at the Grand Hotel is amazing. Then we're going to take the coach down to Frankenmuth, Michigan, the Bavarian village, where you'll have an opportunity to spend time, if you wish, under 9 acres of Christmas at the Bronner Christmas store. Now, guys, if that's not your thing, we got something else planned for you. But it is a really beautiful experience at Frankenmuth. Then from there, we head east toward Canada. Bring your passport. We're going to cross the Blue Water Bridge, and we're going to make our way to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, and we're going to see everything imaginable at Niagara Falls you could dream of. Everything from the floral clock behind the falls, the Great Gorge with the tallest standing rapids in the world, the Spanish Arrow Car, you will see that. We're going to take you to Niagara on the Lake. If it works out, we will as well take you to the Welland Locks to watch the big 750-foot iron ore ships slide into the locks. And of course, we will see Niagara Falls, not only from Table Rock, but from the Skylon Tower with a wonderful meal, as well as from Goat Island on the American side. And we end with the Maid of the Mist, which everyone enjoys. So check that out. We fly out of Buffalo and home. Washington, D.C., not going to say a lot about this because you all know what there is to do there, but the cherry blossoms, if in bloom, will look just like you see right here. Yes, we're going to take you to Arlington. We will see the changing of the guards. We'll go to the White House Visitor Center, which is new and very interesting. Ford Theater, where Lincoln, of course, was assassinated. You will have your choice of Smithsonian's. If you wish to see the Museum of Natural History and Science, we'll get you there. If the Museum of the American Indian is your thing, we'll get you there, but you'll see the Smithsonian's and a full day experience. The Library of Congress is a beautiful edifice, and we'll go inside. We're going to do a cruise on the Potomac River with a big glass-topped boat. Very interesting. We'll see the monuments not only by day, but also by night. We're going to go out to George and Martha's place at Mount Vernon. And then one of my favorites is to get a good lobster or crab sandwich at Annapolis and see the U.S. Naval Academy while we are there. Check out these 5 nights, 6 days with us in Washington, D.C. That's this coming April. Savannah and Charleston, well, if you haven't been there, you sure need to make it a point. I like it because it's a foodie tour, some of the best food you'll ever put in your mouth. 2 nights Charleston, including the Charleston Battery, the Ashley River Valley, including Magnolia and Middleton Place plantations. You'll enjoy that. We're going to take you to Savannah for a couple of nights. That's where the Midnight and Garden of Good and Evil was written. The Juliet Gordon Low, founder of the Girl Scouts, her home is there. The Savannah River, the 5th largest seaport in the U.S. It is a beautiful city with paved streets made of brick, which was the ballast for the ships back in the day. Then we're going to make our way down to Jekyll Island. But before that, we're going to take you to Beaufort, and we're going to have a carriage ride in Beaufort, learning about the giant mansions. This is a Forrest Gump fame. You remember the shrimp boat scene. And we're as well going to learn about some of the movies that were made there. St. Simon Island of Eugenia Price fame is part of the trip, and 2 nights at the Jekyll Island Club. And why do we go there? Well, that's where the rich and famous came during the day. They had cottages, which are as big or bigger than any house I've ever seen, but they didn't have kitchens. And so they all dined in the Jekyll Island Club. That's where we will actually stay. And they created the Federal Reserve there. And there's actually a Federal Reserve room. And so I love the 2 nights, 2 nights, and 2 nights. That's wonderful. Getting to see a lot of the Golden Isles of Georgia. And then we fly home from Jacksonville. Nashville and the Smoky Mountains. Well, this tour really encompasses a lot because we get to see some great sites in Louisville, such as the Churchill Downs racetrack and park itself. The Louisville Slugger Museum is a part of it. We're going to make our way across I-64 to Lexington. Lexington's the bluegrass of Kentucky, where the horse farms are located. And we will learn about the horse farms, including the Kentucky Horse Park, and some wonderful places to dine there. I happen to go to college there, so I know it well and love it. And it is a beautiful city. Then from there, we're going to take Interstate 75 down past some beautiful country. On the left side are the hollers and hills of Kentucky approaching the Appalachians, and on the right are the rolling hills of Kentucky as you make your way south. We're going to end up ultimately at Pigeon Forge and the Gatlinburg area, 2 nights there. And we're going to see the Smoky Mountain National Park. We're going to take you to Dollywood and to Gatlinburg. Oh, I forgot to mention, once we are in Lexington, we're going to take you to the Ark experience, the Noah's Ark experience. Folks, doesn't matter what your beliefs are. That is an amazing edifice to see this thing. It is amazing. And so we will see that. And I want to mention that because that's important. In the Gatlinburg area, we will enjoy a show there. The bourbon experience, the Evans-Williams bourbon experience also is part of this. And so the Smoky Mountains, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, the shows at Dollywood are fabulous. Over to the Biltmore Estate. If you haven't seen that, you sure need to. And then we take the interstate over to Nashville, and we spend 3 nights in Nashville seeing all the sites, including the Nashville City Tour and the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Grand Ole Opry. So check this out. I think you will just love it. New Orleans and the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Whoa, what a beautiful area that is. I was just there last week and really, really enjoyed the experience. We fly into New Orleans for a couple of days, and it's worth going just to go to the New Orleans School of Cooking. I still use some of the recipes I've discovered there. We'll have a little walking tour. We'll have beignets at Cafe du Monde. We're going to go on the Natchez Steamboat Cruise, which is right out of New Orleans. We're going to go up the river a little ways. I think you'll enjoy that. We're going to take you to the Garden District, Mardi Gras World. What a grand experience that is. Well, then from there, we're going to head a little bit to the north, and we're going to make our way to Biloxi. You have Jefferson Davis's home along the way. And we're going to as well see the Gulf Islands National Seashore, the Maritime Museum, the shrimp boat cruise. You're going to be amazed at this. I just did this shrimp boat cruise last week, and you're going to find out things about shrimp you had no clue, and to actually watch them catching the shrimp. And then Bellingrath Gardens, which is about 15 miles south of Mobile. When I was there, the azaleas were coming into bloom. The camellias will be in bloom in November, and the house is wonderful to explore. And then we will spend time in Mobile, where there's some wonderful dining and also a lot of history in Mobile. We'll actually return, stay in Biloxi those 3 nights, and then ultimately return to New Orleans for the trip home. Check that out, November 5th. Will and I were talking about New York and the Hudson Valley, and I like this tour, as does Will, because it is the best of both worlds. A little bit of the Big Apple and a little bit of the Sleepy Hollow Country. 3 nights in New York City, seeing the sights you would want to see. The New York City tour, Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island. There'll be a Broadway show. You could probably even catch a second one if you wish. And then after 3 nights in the Big Apple, we head following the Hudson River up into Sleepy Hollow Country, and we stay 3 nights in the Hudson River Valley. We go to FDR's home at Hyde Park. We go up to, we have a river cruise in the Palisades of the Hudson River. New Paltz is where the Mohonk Mountain House is located, as well as the Boscobel House and Gardens. And this is interesting because this was an old dilapidated house that they actually destroyed, and they had a hue and cry over this, and they went and found all the parts and pieces and put it all back together. And it is a showpiece of something I think you would enjoy seeing. So we'll also take you to West Point, one of our military academies, and it is quite a sight as well. So check this tour out. It's only 6 nights, 7 days, and it's October the 13th. Cape Cod and the Islands, I led this last year, and many of our tour directors, I believe it's one of our favorites at Premier. If you have not been to Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, you've missed a treat. Newport is also a lovely, lovely city with the many mansions. But we're going to start out in Boston, have a tour, Quincy Market, Faneuil Hall, a Boston City tour. We'll see the various sites there. We're going to take you down to Plymouth, where we have the Plymouth Plantation. And that is so interesting because everyone is dressed in costume and they know nothing past 1627. Nothing. And you can ask them all the questions you want, but they'll only know things up until 1627. They stay in character the whole time. Plymouth Rock is there as well as the Mayflower Compact, the Mayflower too. Well, we're going to go to Yarmouth for 5 nights, beautiful DoubleTree located there. I believe that's the hotel anyway. And we're going to go out from there every day, one day up to Provincetown, where the Pilgrims first landed, only stayed there 6 weeks. And then the climate was inclement, So they came down to Plymouth Rock, where it was a little better climate. But Provincetown is a very beautiful town and some wonderful sights and seashores along the way of the Cape. We're going to go to a cranberry bog, which a lot of people put on their surveys, one of their favorite parts of the trip. The couple that own this bog really show you and dispel all the myths of how cranberries are grown. The Newport tour includes the Breakers Mansion. We're going to go out to Nantucket, where we will literally get off the ship, and about 2 blocks away is the Whaling Museum and lots of other sightseeing that you literally can do on foot. There's going to be a lobster dinner as well for the farewell dinner. And we're going to take a tour to Martha's Vineyard, where we'll have our motor coach and take you to where some of the first Chautauquas began and out to the lighthouse. It's a beautiful tour of this portion of New England. Coastal Maine is a tour Deb put together years ago, and I think Premier has a derivation of this, which is really fantastic. We fly into Boston for one night, but then we're going to make our way up to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on the way to York Beach, Maine, Algonquin, one of my favorite cities, and then 5 nights in Kennebunkport, and we're going to see lots of sights, including these that I just named, including the Portland Head Lighthouse, the Natick Lighthouse, as well. We're going to have a lobster cruise, a clam bake, lobster and clam bake, and we're going to go up to Booth Bay Harbor. We will also see Walker Point, where the Bush family lived. And look at that bottom right-hand picture. Our hotel is very close to that. Isn't that a beautiful sight? And look at that lobster sandwich. Makes me want to go. Hope you'll sign up for one of these. Brandywine, Philadelphia, and Amish country. Well, you know, a lot of people love the Unpack Once, as I said, and 5 nights seeing all of these sites of DuPont fame. The Longwood Gardens, the Nemours Mansion, really worth seeing. The Brandywine Valley. We're going to go to Valley Forge of George Washington fame, over to Hershey, where all the street lights look like Hershey kisses. And we'll take you over to Amish country as well on this. The Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia is part of the tour as well. The Constitution Museum, Independence Hall, all of this with an Unpack Once in Philadelphia. Now, Pittsburgh and Falling Water is a great example of what a mystery tour would be. If you think maybe I'm interested in a mystery tour, well, this once was a mystery tour. I personally have led this tour as a mystery tour, I believe 4 times, maybe 3, I can't remember. But then we turned it into one that everyone enjoys and can see where you're going. Because Pittsburgh is a city that has regentrified itself in a way that people don't realize what a beautiful, clean city it is. Just the entrance as we come out of the tunnel and we see the bridges, 47 bridges crossing the rivers there, the Ohio River, the Monongahela, the Allegheny Rivers, all right there at Point Park. You see that in the upper left picture. And the museum and Fort Pitt is located there. But it is a city of museums. I think it's probably the 4th most important museum city in the nation. And we're going to have a city tour. We're going to see various homes and gardens, the Carnegie Museum, which is as good as any Smithsonian you will have ever been to. It's actually pronounced Carnegie, if you want to be exact about it. The Heinz Museum as well. I said we will see Fort Pitt. We're going to see the River of Steel exhibit, the Homestead Mill, Heartwood Acres, as you see in the bottom left. And of course, the creme de la creme of this tour is the trip out to Falling Waters. And you can see it in the upper right. Frank Lloyd Wright's masterpiece. We'll learn all about it, how it got its start, and the controversy that surrounded it as it was being built. And we will tour this beautiful site. There'll be a cocktail party every night because we're going to stay at a wonderful hotel right in downtown Pittsburgh. So join me if you want to be a part of this very interesting tour. Oh, we also didn't even mention the tramway going up, the Duquesne Tramway going up to the Washington Heights area. What a view of the city that is. Check that out and join us. We'd love to have you. Santa Fe holiday. Well, I would say Santa Fe has to be one of my favorite sites. Back in the days when I lived in San Antonio, don't live there any longer, but when I lived there, we would often get in the plane, fly to Santa Fe, and make that a wonderful weekend. It's one of my favorite cities in the country. It's one of the 7 unique cities in the U.S., unique in the sense of architecturally and culturally unique. So we're going to have a Santa Fe tour. We'll see the Plaza, the Loretto Chapel, the Governor's Palace. We'll also have an Albuquerque tour, and we'll see the Indian Pueblo Museum there, Old Town Albuquerque as well. We're going to go to that wonderful church where the old dirt is found at the Chimayo Santuario, up to Taos and Taos City, and then there'll be free time there. Look at the options: Taos, Loretto Chapel, Palace of the Governors, all of this flying in and out of Albuquerque. So I hope you'll join us for this. And that will be 5 days, 6 nights in November. Well, Alpine Swiss Villages, and many of you know this, is a favorite of mine. And it is a favorite in that I have led it many, many times. And we have had people from AFC and Premier that have been on this tour not once, not twice, but 5 times on this tour. Now, why would you go anywhere that many times? Because it is unique. There is not another tour company in the world that puts together something just like this. We are 6 nights in a wonderful hotel centrally located in the Berner Oberland region. That means the highlands of Bern. Yeah, we're going to visit Bern. We're going to visit Lucerne. Those are the 2 things you've heard of. But the beauty of this, every day we take you by public transportation. That would be cog rail train, like you see to the upper left. It would be funicular, a cable car, a gondola, a post bus, to various places that you've never heard of. But if you go with us, you'll say, I've never seen anything as amazing, as beautiful. Folks, this is not a big city Switzerland tour. It's not Zurich, Lucerne, Bern, Geneva. This is a Heidi tour, the mountains of Switzerland, places like Grindelwald, Schönegeplatte, the Rosalaui Glacier, the Ahr Gorge, Meiringen, Reichenbach Falls, Trummelbach Falls, Gimmelwald, Muren, places you've never heard of. But I promise you, if you go 6 nights in one hotel, that is in the Berner Oberland region, centrally located, and then 1 night in Zurich, because we have to catch the flight the next day. So check this out. And there is a July and an August departure. I will be leading both of them, and I would love to have you if you choose to be a part of this. Spain and Portugal. Well, Spain is one of my favorite European countries. I have been there many, many times. Portugal is an amazing place. I've been there many times as well. And unfortunately, we can't see it all in this short amount of time, but it is 9 days and 10 nights. And look at all we're going to do. We're going to start in Lisbon. Christopher Columbus launched his voyages to the Americas from Lisbon. And we're going to see a photo show there. We're going to have a Lisbon city tour. We'll probably go to the Carriage Museum while we are there. It is a beautiful city on the Atlantic Ocean. After 2 nights there, we're going to take you to Evora. And Evora is a beautiful city of historic fame, a beautiful cathedral that is there. We will stop there on our way as we make our way finally into Spain, and we're going to go to Sevilla. Seville will include the city tour, the fabulous cathedral in Seville, and the flamenco show, which is synonymous. I think that and bullfighting are synonymous with Spain. Then from there to Granada. Oh, I love Granada because you have the Alhambra there. And the Alhambra, seeing it by day, and if you wish to see it by night, it could be arranged. It's where the sultans lived until Ferdinand and Isabella pushed them out in 1492. All the sultans and the Muslims who lived in Granada got pushed into Africa, and Ferdinand and Isabella took over. We're going to come up and see Toledo. You can see Toledo in the beautiful Alcazar at the bottom right-hand picture. And we're going to tour Toledo, El Greco fame, beautiful city tour. And then I consider Madrid the Paris of the South. Wide streets, it's a planned city, so much to see in Madrid. The Madrid city tour we will see as well. And we will spend a good bit of time seeing Madrid. There's one of the most famous art museums in the world in Madrid as well. Now, to get the best bang out of your buck for your airfare dollar, you definitely want to do the Barcelona extension. It's a high-speed rail train, 200 miles an hour, all the way across to Barcelona. And there we're going to see the Sagrada Familia that you see in the upper left of Gaudi fame. We'll see the Gaudi paintings. We will see some of the most important sites in the very hilly city of Barcelona. Check that out, and you can see the date is March, and in November. March is a guaranteed departure. we would love to have you on this particular tour. Athens and the Greek Isles. I like the way we do this because it's not just a taste of the islands, you actually experience it. We're flying into the Peloponnese of Greece. That means that's the lower arm of Greece. We're going to spend some time in Athens seeing the sights, the Parthenon, the Acropolis Museum, the changing of the guards, the Olympic Stadium, where Paul delivered his speech at the Bema. We will see all of that. And of course, the Plaka is a very fun place to shop, all the guys playing backgammon there. But then we're going to take you down to Piraeus. And Piraeus is the port. And we're going to go to Mykonos for 2 nights and spend the night. Now, Mykonos is where you see the windmills. You can see the bottom left-hand picture. The streets of Mykonos are like a maze. They're all white. They're narrow. It's all walking, and they did it to confuse the pirates. When they would try to raid the place, the pirates would get lost, and they would capture them. Then we take another ferry to Santorini. Santorini is in the upper right. It is the island where you look across and you see the caldera of the Santorini volcano. It is conjecture, but they say about 4000 BC, the Santorini volcano erupted. The most wealthy portions of Santorini dropped a mile deep into the ocean, and then the ensuing tidal wave, made its way all the way down to Crete and destroyed the Minoan civilization in Heraklion, Crete. So this is the city on the hill, and we will actually get to spend time, see the sights, see some of the archaeological sites as well, shop, eat, and enjoy the scenery in Santorini. It's not a 2-hour stay in each place like so many Greek tours do. Premier is doing it the right way. Now, don't forget to check out the optional 3-night extension at Kalabaka. So much to see in the upper portions of Greece that most people never ever see. Check that out. 2 guaranteed departures, May and October. Oh, the Amalfi Coast makes me want to go. I hear Will talking about Tuscany, and I think about Italy and how much I love it. Well, we're flying into Rome. We're going to make our way down to Sorrento. Sorrento, the beautiful city, overlooking the ocean, high on the hill, and we do some sightseeing out of Sorrento. Well, first of all, yes, we are going to see a little bit of Rome because we're going to be there overnight on 2 nights in Rome and then 1 night on the back end of it. But out of Sorrento, we're going to have a tour of Naples. We're going to take you to the ruins of Pompeii with a local guide. Mount Vesuvius looming over the top of us. The Isle of Capri and the Blue Grotto is there. Postiano, Revelio, Amalfi, all scenery like you see in the bottom right picture with wonderful opportunities to explore are part of our 5 nights in Sorrento. We can show you, your tour guide can show you some of the best shops to buy leather, some of the best restaurants to dine in when there are not meals already included. Amalfi Coast, I love the fact that we are focusing just on that. And you see we have a March and an October 24th departure. Fiji, small ship cruising. Well, I love Fiji a lot because it's probably the friendliest place in the world. I've been there on a number of occasions, but I like the way that Premier World Discovery is exploring Fiji because, yes, we're going to fly into Nandi, and a lot of people, that's all they do is they fly into Nandi and they stay at one of the hotels, the Sheraton or one of the hotels in Nandi, and then they fly on to Australia or somewhere like that. But we are going to be right at the international date line, and we're going to have a half-day tour, including the Garden of the Sleeping Giants. That's of Raymond Burr fame. It's a wonderful botanical garden to see. Then we're going to be on our ship. We sleep on our ship, but we do not cruise at night. We stay in wonderful bays like you see that are just crystal clear with the best snorkeling, wonderful seafood, gardens, Fijian cultural shows to be seen. Modriki Island, that's where the Castaway, you remember the Tom Hanks Castaway movie, and the volleyball, or the soccer ball, I should say, the Soso Bay and Nakakuvu Island, wonderful snorkeling, but it is not just about snorkeling. It is about culture and food and beautiful sights. The Blue Lagoon, as you see in the bottom left, or the Sawalu Caves in the bottom left. The Blue Lagoon is in the upper right. And then we're going to have a kava ceremony one night, the village-style dinners. Check this out, some of the most beautiful beaches, and it's a portion of Fiji most people never, ever see. And are we ever doing it the right way on November the 7th?
So I'll take it back over from here. Thank you so much, Chris, for all your great insight. But we wanted to touch again on the specials that we're offering. Again, a low-cost deposit of $250 up until Friday, March 24th. So again, if you book a new 2023 tour or river cruise, your deposit is reduced by $100 up front. Then we have the early booking savings, anywhere between $100 to $75 are available if you're the first 10 or first 20 to book. Our one cabin category upgrade for our October 25th Burgundy and Provence River Cruise on the Rhone. And as I mentioned before, we still have those cash early booking savings up to $200 off your trip. Just a handful of those left, and then some at the $100 range. And then $20 off your travel protection if you pay for your insurance at the same time as your deposit. So you must use the savings code 23TRIPS when you make your booking. Again, that's 23 trips by next Friday, March 24th. And how you can book, you can reach us by calling our 1-800-369-3693 number. You can email Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com, or visit us on our website at afcvacations.com, and the forms section has both domestic, international, and river cruise forms. We want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend with us, learning about some great destinations. Please add us on Facebook and pay attention, as our next BTS will have a brand new 2024 release. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. And if you do have any questions, please email April at AFC Tours. Thanks so much and have a great day.